Welcome back. This is a quick tech where we learn together one step at a time. Last time, we built an expense tracker that calculates tax, totals, and tracks your balance automatically. Pretty cool, right? But here's the thing. We're sitting on all this data and we're not really analyzing it yet. To build that analysis, we need to understand how to properly reference cells in our formulas. This is the one skill that makes or breaks everything you will do in Google Sheets. Once you get cell references right, you can build formulas that automatically adapt as your data grows, stay accurate when you copy them, and create powerful analysis that updates itself. So today, we will master cell references and use them to build some basic analysis that shows exactly where your money is going. By the end of this video, you will understand when to use different types of references, and you will have a summary dashboard that gives you instant insights into your spending. Let's dive right in. Alright, what I have here is our expense tracker from last time. We've got our expenses, the formulas are working, and everything is calculating properly. Now it's time to take this to the next level. Before we dive into analysis, let me make two quick improvements that will make our life easier. First, I want to number our expenses. This way we can easily see how many expenses we have at a glance. I will right click on column A and choose Insert one column left. And look at that, it even applied our formatting. Cool. Now in A1 I will type number for the header. In A3 I will type 1. Then in A4 type 2. Now I'll select both cells and hover over at the bottom corner. And when I see that plus sign, I will double click. Perfect. It automatically numbered our expenses. We can see we have about 11 expenses so far. Now for the second improvement. Right now, our categories are just typed in freely. Here's the problem. If someone types food one day and food another day with a small f, or maybe someone even types foods by accident, our analysis will think these are three different categories. That will mess up our numbers. Let's fix that with a drop-down, just like we did in the goal tracker. Choose all the categories, right-click, choose drop-down. Google Sheets is smart, it already found all the categories we've been using. I can see we have some duplicates here though. Looks like food appears twice. Let me remove the duplicates and choose the right food category here. Perfect. Now we have bills, entertainment, food, health, shopping, and transport, each appearing just once. Now everyone has to pick from the list, so our categories stay consistent. Much better for analysis. Now, before we start analyzing our data, we need to understand cell references. This is super important. It's basically how we tell Google Sheets which cells to work with. There are three main types of references you will use all the time. Relative references. This adjusts when you copy formulas. We've seen this when we were calculating tax, total, and the balance. Second one is absolute references. These stay locked no matter what. The last one is open-ended references. These automatically expand as your data grows. Don't worry if that sounds confusing. I'm going to show you each one with real examples. Once you see them in action, it will make sense. Let's start with the most common one. Let me create a little test area first. Down here in F6, I will type total spent. Now I want to add up all our expenses. Sure, we can go ahead and type equals G13 plus G12 plus G11 and so on until we reach G3. But that doesn't feel right, does it? It would take forever. So what's the alternative? Well, that's where the sum function comes in. It basically does all the addition for us in one simple formula. To use it, I will type equals sum, open parenthesis. Now I need to tell it what to add up. So I will click up here on G3 and drag down to G13 and close the parenthesis and hit enter. There we go. We have a total of 459 cents for our total spend. Definitely way easier than adding each cells manually. So this G3 colon G13 is what we call a relative reference. It basically says grab everything from G3 to G13. But watch what happens if I copy this formula and paste it one row down and another below. It changed to G4 to G14, and here it changed to G5 to G15, and as a result we're not getting the same total. Why? That's because relative references are just when you copy them. Sometimes that's exactly what you want, like when we were calculating tax up here, or total, or the balance. The cells were adjusting as we went down. But we don't want that behavior here because we still want the same total no matter where we type. So what should we do? Well, let me first undo that and show you a better way. Let's first repeat the sum function we wrote last time, but this time here in the header. So here in I1, I will type total spent, and I want to have the actual sum here in J1. So type equals sum, open parenthesis, click on G3 and drag down to G13. Great. Now here's something to think about. Right now we are only summing rows 3 through 13. But what happens when we add more expenses down here? See, our total won't include them because our formula stops at row 13. That's where range references come in. Some people call this open-ended references, but either way, they're perfect when your data keeps growing. Watch this. I will edit our formula. Instead of G3 colon G13, I will change it to G3 to G by removing the 13. See that? Just G3 colon G with no ending row number. This tells Google Sheets start at G3 and include everything below it in column G, no matter how many rows I add later. Let me show you why this is brilliant. I'll add a new expense. Just insert the next date by dragging this down. Coffee shop for description. And drag down for category. And let's select food. Here $6.50 for the amount. And fill in the rest. Now look at our total. It jumped to 409.61 cents. The formula automatically included our new expense. No need to edit anything. That's the power of range references. Set it once and forget it. And it doesn't matter how many expenses we add down here, your total will always be up to date. Now for something really powerful. Absolute references. Remember how relative references change when we copy them? Sometimes that causes problems. Let me show you what I mean. Let's add a new column to calculate what percentage of our budget each expense represents. So let me click on I2 and type percentage, and now apply the formatting. Now in I3, I want to calculate what percentage this first expense is. What do I mean by that? Think of our total budget as a whole pie. And what we're trying to find out is what slice did each of these expenses take. To get that, we just divide each expense total by the total budget. So in I3, I'll type P equals G3, which is our expense, divided by H2, which is our budget. Hit enter. That gives us about what? 3.4%. Let's make this easier to read by applying formatting. I will click the percentage button up here. Looks better. Now I want these same calculations for every expenses. So let me copy this formula down. I'll just double click the fill handle. Great. The percentages are filled in, but the question is, are they correct? Let's check. Look at this one. It says G4 divided by H3. But wait, H3 is 482, not our budget of 500. Okay. And this one says G5 divided by H4. Again, that's dividing by 434, not 500. See the problem? Each formula is dividing by a different number instead of our budget. This happened because we used a relative reference. When we copied down both parts of our formula, meaning our expense total and our budget shifted. We need the expense to change, yes, but the budget should always stay at H2. This is exactly when we need an absolute reference, a way to lock a cell so it never changes when we copy formulas. Watch this. I'll go back to I3 and edit the formula. Add $sign like this. Notice I only added $sign to H2, not G3. That's because we want G3 to change to G4 and G5 and so on as we copy down. We need it to match each expense row, but H2 should never change because that's where our budget lives. Now hit enter. Now select I3, the right formula, and extend the selection by Command Shift and the down arrow, and copy the formula to the selected cells below using the keyboard shortcut Command D. And boom. Now everything looks perfect. You may ask, what if we make both references absolute? Let me try. Now let me copy this down. See that? Now everything shows 3.45%. That's because we locked G3 too, so every formula is calculating the exact same thing. Let me undo that since we only want to lock the budget reference. There we go. Perfect. Now every formula correctly divides its expense by our 500 budget in H2. See? G3 divided by H2, G4 divided by H2, G5 divided by H2. Exactly what we wanted. Remember, those $signs on H2 are the key here. The first $sign locks the H column, and the second locks the row 2. Together, they tell Google Sheets, always use H2 no matter where I copy this formula. Pro tip. Typing $sign gets tedious. Here's a shortcut, because we love shortcuts. When you're editing a formula, click on the cell reference or type it out and press F4. Watch this. As I keep pressing F4, it cycles through all the reference options. Super handy. Now, let's build a dashboard to properly analyze our expenses. Let's do that right at the top of our sheet, so it's always visible when we open the spreadsheet. Let's make a room up here. We've seen how to insert one row before. Basically, right-click and insert one row above. What if we want to insert multiple rows? This time, let's say I want to insert 4 rows in one go. To do that, I will select 4 rows like this. Then right-click anywhere on the selected range and choose Insert 4 rows above. Easy peasy. Now I have a space at the top of our dashboard, but it has this blue background, and when we type in, the font color is white. It just took the formatting of the header. That's not what we want, so let's clear the formatting. We covered how to do this in earlier episodes, so feel free to pause and try it yourself. Here is how I do it. First, select the rows. Then you have 2 options. The quickest option is to hit the keyboard shortcut, which is Command and \. The other alternative is to go to Format, then select Clear Formatting. Now let me create a main header first. Here in B1, I will type Spending Analysis Dashboard. Now I'll select from B1 to say G1 and merge these cells by clicking on this icon and make it bold with Command B. Let me also give it a background color to make it stand out, so I will choose this one. Now in row 2, I will create descriptions of each metric. In B2, I will type total spent. In C2, budget remaining. In D2, average transaction. In E2, min purchase. In F2, max purchase, and in G2, number transactions. Now let me select all of these and make them bold. Great. Now in row 3, I will add the actual formulas that calculate these values. In B3, I want to add up all our expenses. But here is an important question. How can we make sure that future expenses are also included automatically? That's where our range reference comes in. So let's type this out. I will use the sum function we saw earlier. So type equals sum opening parenthesis G7 colon G closing parenthesis. Remember, sum adds up all the numbers in a range. And by using G7 colon G with no ending row number, it automatically includes any new expenses we add later. Also note that our expenses data now starts in row 7, since we added rows at the top, and row 6 has our starting balance. In C3, I need to subtract our total spending from our starting budget. Here, I will use an absolute reference to our budget. So let's type it equal H6, which is our budget, and press F4 to lock the cell, minus B3. Remember, B3 has our total spending amount. Great. Now in D3, I want to find the typical amount we spend per purchase. For that, I need the average function. The average function takes all our expense amounts, adds them up, and divides by how many expenses we have to give us the average. So let's type it out. Equals average opening parenthesis G7 colon G closing parenthesis. Now E3. Here I want to find our cheapest transaction. The min function finds the smallest number in a range. So let's use that. Equals min, opening parenthesis, G7 colon G. Great. Now in F3, I need the opposite, our most expensive purchase. We can use the max function for that because it finds the largest number in a range. So let's type it, equals max, opening parenthesis, G7 colon G, closing parenthesis. And finally in G3, I need to count how many expenses we actually have. Count A is perfect for this. It counts all non-empty cells, whether they contain number, text, or any other data. Since our transaction numbers are in column A, starting from row 7, I will type equals count A7 colon A, closing parenthesis. Perfect. Now we have a dashboard at the top that automatically updates as we add expenses. And it shows us key insights about our spending patterns at a glance. Let's test our whole system. I will add one more expense. Let's add expense 13th and take the next day by dragging. Now let's copy paste one expense to speed it up. Let's say we went to the movies again. But instead of 24, let's say we spent 36 this time. Let's fill in the rest by selecting everything from here to the right using Command, Shift, and right arrow. Then double click. Just like that, everything gets calculated automatically with just a double click. I hope this is where you really start to see the power of Google Sheets. Now look at our analysis dashboard. Let's modify one of the values and watch the dashboard. Everything updates instantly. This is why understanding reference is so important. Set them up once and your spreadsheet becomes a smart system that grows with your data. That's it for cell references. You now understand the foundation that makes every advanced formula work. Your expense tracker has grown into an intelligent system with automatic analysis. Next time, we'll take this tracker to the next level with some more advanced function that will help you analyze your spending patterns and make your spreadsheet even smarter. Until then, take a few minutes to practice what we've covered today. Play with formatting. Make it look better. And try adding more expenses, change some amounts, and watch how everything updates automatically. Experiment with the different reference types until they feel natural. That's the best way to really master this. Thanks for learning with me today. If this was really helpful, a quick like really helps the channel grow. See you in the next video. Peace.